With her delicate pen, she became the most renowned female writer in the world. Readers everywhere look up to her as a role model, and in England she's considered a national treasure, with her portrait printed on the 10-pound note. Jane Austen painted the freedom of love through her words 2 centuries ago, yet she herself remained unmarried because of a love she could never forget. Jane grew up in a poor pastor's family, and her passion for writing always made her stand out from other women. In those days, marrying a wealthy man was a family's only chance to change their fate, and Jane, with her natural beauty, was no exception. One day, Jane's mother took the family to visit Lady Gresham, a local aristocrat who treated her nephew Wesley as her own son. The moment Wesley laid eyes on Jane, he was smitten, eager to secure her hand in marriage. But Jane believed in equal love, and she would never accept a marriage without affection. Out of politeness, though, she didn't reject him outright. After leaving Lady Gresham's grand estate, Jane's mother was already fantasizing about moving in, but Jane scoffed at it all, firmly believing she could build her own fortune with her pen. Soon after, Jane's brother returned home with a friend. Their father proudly announced that Henry had graduated from Cambridge, and then shared news of their eldest daughter Cassandra's engagement. Her fiancé Robert had joined the army to earn land compensation from the government, and they promised to marry upon his victorious return. As a sister, Jane wrote them a heartfelt blessing. But right as she was immersed in reading it aloud, a young man suddenly burst in. His handsome face wasn't breathtaking, but it did catch Jane's eye. Tom is a young lawyer who has been studying law and courtroom practice under his uncle's guidance. Though known as a playboy who loved boxing and nightlife, Tom was sent to the countryside to be tamed. That's how he ended up crashing into Jane's life. For Tom, the countryside was boring, but meeting such a beautiful woman was an unexpected delight. Not just Tom, any unmarried man would be captivated by Jane's beauty, including John, one of her father's students. But they were all poor boys, far from capable of marriage. Tom obeyed his uncle only because he was paid a salary and promised a future inheritance if he proved himself in law. Fate, however, turned silently. One day, Tom met Jane in the woods. Though influenced by the times, Tom held some bias against women writers, yet he never disrespected or mocked her. In fact, he admired Jane's literary talent. Their first conversation wasn't pleasant. Jane mistook his compliments for mockery and stormed off angrily. Soon after, a town ball was held. Wesley attended, eager for more chances to know Jane. Her stunning beauty made her the center of attention. But Wesley, who had never learned the common folks' dance steps, was extremely clumsy, making him look utterly ridiculous. Watching this comical scene, Tom, standing upstairs, couldn't help but smile. During a break, he approached Jane and invited her to dance. Out of courtesy, Jane accepted. Though she often called Tom a spoiled rich boy, she never felt a real distance from him. Both of them came from modest backgrounds, shared ideals, and connected on a deeper level. Their conversations flowed naturally, with no need for pretense. Even playful teasing felt effortless. In a repressive era, the spark of defiance was inherently attractive. Tom's free-spirited, rebellious energy resonated with Jane's own passion for breaking free. Though branded a playboy, Tom's charm stirred Jane's heart in ways Wesley's proper manners never could. Inspired by Tom, Jane even joined a sports competition, proving that women could compete just as well as men. Just as she had chosen writing, she believed women didn't have to rely on marriage to survive. In the competition, Jane's talent outshone many of the boys. Afterward, Tom and Henry ran wild toward the woods, with Jane and her cousin following, laughing. At the riverside, Tom and Henry stripped down for a swim. The girls, blushing furiously, quickly turned their heads away. One day, Jane entered the study to find Tom already there. She tried to slip out quietly, but Tom didn't give her the chance. Knowing her love for writing, Tom opened a book and read aloud. The poetic description of swifts in love made Jane's cheeks flush. Before she could respond, Tom told her that to write stories that truly touch the heart, one must experience life firsthand. Imagination alone isn't enough to make readers feel. Though still innocent in love, Jane fully understood Tom's metaphors. Of course, Tom was a gentleman and stopped before crossing the line. He then recommended a book to Jane and politely left the study. It was a book about female chastity, which Jane read carefully. However, she disagreed with the author's central idea. Jane believed women should have the right to choose, whether it's love, their bodies, or their lives. A few days later, Lady Gresham visited in person. Her nephew Wesley had been seeing Jane for a while, and the lady wanted to finalize their marriage. Not long after, Jane returned home from visiting a friend. She wanted to avoid this confrontation, but it was something she had to face. Wesley invited Jane to the backyard and proposed to her.
I have a respectable property of 2,000 a year, in addition to even greater expectations as Lady Gresham's heir, to which it may be indelicate to refer.
Oh, indelicate, yes.
If we marry, all of it, yours, it's yours.
Mr. Wesley, your offer is The most sincere I can see, and gentlemanlike, and it honors me, truly. But for all you are and all you offer,
Jane politely refused. In her heart, a marriage without love was meaningless. But in that era, marriage was nothing more than a transaction. In her mother's eyes, Jane wasn't rejecting marriage. She was rejecting the family's only chance to change their fate.
What we can put by must go to your brothers. You will have nothing unless you marry.
Well, then I will have nothing, for I will not marry without affection, like my mother.
And now I have to dig my own damn potatoes! Affection is desirable. Money is absolutely indispensable.
After hearing her mother's words, Jane no longer wished to argue. Not because she had no answer, but because their views were fundamentally different. It wasn't her mother who was wrong, but the society they lived in. Jane had 8 siblings. As parents, the burden of life was heavy beyond words. From their perspective, love was worthless compared to survival. Perhaps in the vastness of time, love is but a fleeting glimpse. Yet it's that magical moment that haunts countless souls. Jane was emotional, filled with longing for true love. She didn't want to burden her family or bring shame upon them, but even more, she refused to give up her right to pursue herself. A few days later, Jane wore a beautiful dress and attended Lady Gresham's grand ball. She knew Tom would return to London the next day. No matter the outcome, she wanted to express her feelings to him. She wandered through the mansion, but never caught sight of Tom. With a heart full of longing and disappointment, Jane accepted Weasley's invitation to dance out of politeness. But when Tom suddenly appeared, Jane's shy smile lit up the room. In that instant, all misunderstandings vanished, and all pressures dissolved. The ball wouldn't pause for them, but the exchange of their glances left a mark on this love. After the dance, Lady Gresham called Jane into a private room. She tried to push the marriage with Weasley again, but did so with a condescending tone, accusing Jane of not knowing what's good for her.
My nephew, Miss Austen, condescends far indeed in offering to the daughter of an obscure and impecunious clergyman.
Your ladyship is mistaken. Impecunious?
I am never mistaken. Your father is in grave financial difficulties. But all is not lost. He has a daughter upon whom fortune has smiled.
Lady Gresham's harsh words only strengthened Jane's resolve. As Jane left the villa, Tom followed and found her by the lake.
I have learned of Mr. Weasley's marriage proposal. My congratulations.
Is there an alternative for a well-educated young woman of small fortune?
How can you have him? Even with his thousands and his houses, how can you, of all people, dispose of yourself without affection?
Jane had never been so bold. Perhaps there was no future, no outcome. But none of that mattered in this moment of heartfelt emotion. Tom, with no house and no money, was overjoyed to feel Jane's affection. He had always believed a poor man like him wasn't worthy of marriage, but Jane's actions shattered that fear. To spend the rest of her life with Tom, Jane left her home and broke free from the chains of societal expectations. They went to London, hoping Tom's uncle would approve their marriage. On their first night home, the uncle hosted a lavish dinner. During the meal, Jane boldly shared her views on gender equality and openly admitted she was a writer. Tom admired Jane's thoughts and supported her fully. Seeing his uncle's confusion and prejudice, Tom quickly eased the awkwardness. In the uncle's mind, women didn't need to work or be independent. When he learned women could make money through writing, he was utterly shocked. To support Jane's career, Tom took her to meet a female writer.
Of what do you wish to write? Of the heart. Do you know it?
Not all of it.
The writer didn't offer much advice. As an independent woman, she simply warned Jane that this path demanded far more sacrifices than she could imagine. At this moment, Jane still didn't fully understand the meaning behind those words. Watching Jane and Tom leave, the writer gave Jane a meaningful look, hoping for her success, but also feeling heartache for the burdens she would bear. That night, back home, Jane and Tom lingered outside the bedroom door, reluctant to part. Tom promised Jane he would confess everything to his uncle the next day. But the next morning, before Tom could say a word, his uncle opened a freshly delivered letter. This letter would change Tom and Jane's fate forever. The letter accused Jane of being a gold digger, claiming she followed Tom to London for his uncle's inheritance. Immediately, the uncle's attitude flipped completely. Jane heard every word from outside the door. The letter had no signature. Perhaps it was Lady Gresham, perhaps Weasley, but it no longer mattered. The uncle's judgment had sealed their future. The future Jane and Tom had dreamed of was abruptly cut short before it even began.
They think that they can do what they like with us, but
I will not accept this.
We have no choice.
Of course we do.
I depend entirely upon...
On your uncle. And I depend on you. So what will you do?
I have a duty to my family, Jane. I must think of them as well as...
Is that all you have to say to me?
Tom didn't know how to respond. He had his struggles, but Jane had her expectations. His silence in that moment shattered all of Jane's fantasies about love. It was reality, painful, brutal reality. What she thought was a journey of mutual devotion ended with her heart in pieces. Her bold decision to leave home now seemed like a cruel joke. But that joke tore Tom apart as well. After Jane left, Tom returned to his old life. But no matter what he did, he couldn't quiet the storm within. Heartbroken, Jane couldn't let go either. Tom was her first love, her entire understanding of what love meant. After everything, Jane returned home. She apologized to her mother and tried to rejoin the social circle, even attending Lady Gresham's dinner once again. During dinner, Jane's father received a letter from the army. The content was devastating. His eldest daughter's fiancé had been killed in battle. That night, Jane watched her sister sobbing uncontrollably, not knowing how to comfort her. If Jane's own lost love still held a sliver of hope, her sister's loss was absolute, with no possibility left. But Jane's faint hope was soon shattered once again. A few days later, while walking with her brother, he shared news about Tom.
He is engaged. So soon?
In that moment, Jane seemed to understand the cruel truth of love. The blood flowing from a torn heart becomes the ink at the tip of her pen. Her story would never have a happy ending, so she could only fill her regrets within the pages of fiction. Yet she never expected her fate with Tom wasn't over. As Jane tried to learn how to let go, she also began to consider surrendering to reality. But before agreeing to marry Weasley, Jane brought up the letter that had ruined her love. She wanted to blame Weasley, but he looked utterly confused.
I hope in time passion may regain your better opinion.
The emotion is absurd.
I consider the sex to whom it is often directed indistinguishable from folly.
I thank you for the honor of your proposal. I accept. Good day.
After taking the step she least wanted to take, Jane went to visit the deaf-mute person she often cared for. Unexpectedly, Tom appeared before them. Seeing the man she both loved and hated, Jane's heart was filled with mixed emotions. This time, Tom had gathered all his courage. He wanted to apologize, to give Jane a real answer. But when he saw the pain in her eyes, he couldn't say a word. Love has no rules, no logic, no boundaries. The more impulsive, the more sincere. Tom's engagement was arranged by his uncle. He had no right to refuse. Jane's agreement to marry Weasley was for her family's sake. She had no choice either. But at this moment, Tom proposed an extreme solution.
Run away with me.
Eloping. In that era, elopement meant total disgrace, ruining both families' reputations. They would never be able to return home again. Jane understood these consequences clearly. Some choose to follow society's rules, but in Jane's eyes, Tom was her entire world. With only a small bag of belongings, Jane bid farewell to the home she had known for years. After sharing a passionate kiss, they embarked on a journey into the unknown. The guilt toward family seemed to fade in the face of love, but love is always intangible. On the way, their carriage got stuck in the mud. They had to get out and help. Tom settled Jane safely before taking off his coat to push the carriage. At that moment, Jane noticed a letter Tom had dropped. Curiosity made her open it. Soon after, Tom came back, only to see Jane's expression had completely changed. No matter how he asked, Jane said nothing. At the next rest stop, Jane took out the letter in front of Tom. It was then she understood Tom's words. I must think of my family. Tom's entire family depended on his income. He was their only support. Eloping with Jane meant abandoning his family. What defeats love is often love itself. To love deeply is to also understand responsibility. Jane's heart told her Tom shouldn't bear such a burden for her. Though Tom could start over elsewhere, this was gambling with his family's livelihood. If he failed, there would be no second chance. A single goodbye held 1,000 regrets. Saying goodbye was easy. Meeting again, perhaps impossible. No matter how painful it was, Jane could not turn back. She feared that looking back would mean their ruin with no way out. Jane returned home. Her family had gone out searching for her except for John. Seeing Jane's heartbroken face, John didn't know what had happened. But seeing no one else around, he impulsively confessed. He had loved Jane for a long time. Hearing this, Jane stood up and walked away, frustrated. But before she left the room, a realization struck her. That letter? It was you, wasn't it? You must understand I've loved you all these years. At this point, Jane had no strength left to struggle. Her final tear extinguished the flame of love. Since fate denied her the fruit of love, she would no longer force it. In the end, Jane apologized to Weasley, but this time she said they could be friends. And as for marriage, it would be better not to force what isn't meant to be. For the rest of her life, she would pour all her emotions into her writing. From now on, in the galaxy of love, there would be no Jane chasing the sun, only a distant star shining with memories.
Will all your stories have happy endings?
My characters will have, after a little bit of trouble, all that they desire.
Years later, Jane became the world-renowned writer she dreamed of. Time had left marks on her face, not deep, but unforgettable. And on that very day, Jane saw Tom again.
Please allow me to introduce to you your most avid of admirers, my daughter, Miss Lefroy.
Miss Austen, it was a pleasure to meet you. Will you read for us this evening?
Well, you see, my sister never reads. Otherwise, how else is she supposed to remain anonymous?
But...
Jane.
I will make an exception.
He had named his daughter Jane Lefroy. Jane shared their story with the world. Though their love never bore fruit, it bloomed into a flower people still admire. Unmarried for life, Jane used her sincere and moving words to break through the barriers of time, allowing the love she longed for to continue even today, more than 200 years later. That book is called Pride and Prejudice.